You're listening to an episode recorded during the time Innovation Fuel was part of University Canada West. We are proud and grateful for the work we've done together, and we want to thank the university for being in our podcast. We are now excited to continue the journey of Innovation Fuel into its next chapter. Thanks for listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Innovation Fuel, the podcast that brings you fantastic stories from entrepreneurs and key industry professionals. I am Dave Kiran.
And I am Gelareh and we are educators, entrepreneurs, and your hosts. Innovation Fuel is our weekly business podcast brought to you by University Canada West. Each week, we explore diverse business models, entrepreneur journeys, experts' insight, and managerial challenges, and how companies stay agile and innovative during COVID-19. Check out our episodes at www.ucanwest.ca/innovationfuel. How are you, Dave?
I am doing great today, Gelareh. I'm very interested. And one of the things I'm very interested in, and I've been interested in this space, and I've had some experience in this space too, more on the sort of the customer side of things, but is BC technology. Where are we at with BC technology right now? What do you think, Gelareh? You've got a background in technology. You came up through the world of technology, not here in Canada, but elsewhere. But what do you think about BC technology? What do you think about the industry out there?
When I landed here, and when I was thinking about what I'm going to do here with my friend that she was entrepreneur, she's always entrepreneurs and she's very successful in it. We found out that it's very difficult to find an idea to start business. I think that the main reason at that time that we had such a feeling was the giant companies.
Yeah.
In giant companies here to take over everything, and you don't feel that you need to have an idea, and specifically in the tech idea. But in the place that I come from, Iran, there is no giant companies. Thanks to the sanction, I don't think it's a good or bad, but we don't have any giant companies there. So it means that the field is so empty and you can do whatever you want and you don't feel there's a glass ceiling for your business ideas, specifically in technology. But I think that we have to understand here in BC, as a BC technology entrepreneur, that you can start your business in technology. You can try your business idea. And the giant company are looking at you and see that if you fail, you fail. If you don't fail, they'll come and buy you because they don't want to fail. They don't want to start a business in an idea. For example, Amazon or Apple, they don't want to start and work on a new product, and they fail. So they prefer you do it. And if you're successful, I come and means to buy you and take over you. And then this is the way you can grow.
So do you think that because of these big conglomerates, because there's a lot of these big conglomerates and more coming, and it seems that they're coming because there's probably a loophole in the element of getting software engineers into Canada much easier than getting a software engineer into the United States. But are they affecting our entrepreneur, our startup element? Are they starting to have an effect on that element and maybe blocking these individuals from actually getting these ideas and getting started with these ideas? And are these people going elsewhere?
First of all, Canada is a land for knowledge. It's because of good universities they have, good immigrants, good education system. All of them make the very good ecosystems for R&D. And for them, it's very, very interesting area that they can find the knowledgeable people, invest on the R&D as well. So, this is very good for BC or Canada in general because of talents. A lot of the giant companies are coming and because they can have access to the talent pools. But this is for entrepreneurs, it can be scary because they think that's what I have to compete with. I have to compete with Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, or these giant companies.
Well, they can't get the talent. So they can't get the talent to support their idea. They might have a brilliant idea, but because they can't compete with, Goliath, we talk about these stories of David and Goliath. We have a real live David and Goliath here. Like, we have opportunities competing for that talent. So the only way that they can maybe possibly bring that talent in, Gelareh, is they might be have to offer a co-founder piece.
Yeah, but I think the co-founder piece is really good, awesome things. But I want to say that if you have an idea in technology, don't be scared to start doing it, and try to make the very product market fit. Your product should fit the market, and it should be tested in the market. So you're the best place to test, and you have a lot of incentive from the government. This is a good thing about the BC and Canada in general. And then when you're successful, the big giant companies coming after you is coming, and they want to have a piece of you. That is the place that you can go. You can call it exit strategy. You can go for growth. So I know it's scary if you see the big giants, but still can be opportunity. On the other hand, the problem I think, I don't know, maybe you are better expert because you're Canadian, originally BC. So you can tell me that about the regulations of governments of BC and how it can help startup technology and what is the incentive for them there.
Well, I think what we're going to face in this technology piece, and I think that the challenge that we find is that there's a lot of bureaucracy around this element. There's a lot of bureaucracy around making these decisions and allowing innovation to happen. And I think what we see is an opportunity either, for making the funding more agile and more available to individuals to support these sort of startup elements, these tech startup elements? Or is it the element of when we allow big organizations to come in here, do they automatically have to put some funding aside to support the smaller tech elements and see those individuals giving back to the community? Because inevitably it's going to support them in the long run. So,
exactly.
Is there a different way of approaching this? And that's what I'm really saying, Gelareh. Is there a different way of approaching it and to make it more of a community? And how can we all be a part of that, supporting the smaller startup tech because we know that there's lots of benefits when small startup tech gets going and everybody benefits from it.
Exactly. Even if they fail, how the society will get the benefit of the knowledge. Even you fail, you cannot undone your knowledge, what you cannot undone, it's to forget your knowledge that you already learned it. And it will back to the society in different ways. You an entrepreneur, maybe you failed, then you work in some company after that one. You bring that knowledge to that company. So it is good for society as well. You start a business, even you fail. And there's a lot of that thing that I'm very proud of the Canada is that it's still the Canada have a lot of good fund for startup, for big start, but then they have other regulation to grow of it.
And we are, guys, we are the world out there in Canada is a startup nation. We are, our 95% of our GDP, guys, is on small, medium-sized businesses. This is where we should be putting our dollar and cents into that piece to help grow those individuals. That's going to support that ecosystem that we're talking about. And I think, Gelareh, the individual that we're going to talk to today is going to maybe open this door a little bit more for us and maybe answer some of these questions that you and I still have.
Joining us today as our guest is Pedram Ataee. Pedram recently received his PhD degree in electrical and computer engineering from University of British Columbia. He's an author and experienced technopreneur, and he is here to inspire the next generations of investors by sharing the foremost lessons that he has learned over the years. Welcome, Pedram.
Yes, welcome, Pedram, to Innovation Fuel. How are you doing today, my friend?
Very well, very well. Thanks for having me and inviting me, Gelareh, and all of you. Thanks. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, Pedram, we like to get to know our guests a little bit because we want to connect you to our listeners. Our listeners are we have a global audience, but we have students that we are in classes and these turn into cases. So can you tell us a little bit about you and your background and a little bit about who you are?
Awesome, sure. I graduated from the electrical and computer engineering from University of British Columbia, but my whole life was on the AI, the artificial intelligence. From the point that I remember, I'm very into the AI. After my graduation, I joined a very interesting company based in Waterloo, working in the wearable tech industry. We were building a futuristic wearable tech that it was an armband that you can put on your arm and control your environment. It was very funny. I had a very interesting experience back there. The company grows and grows and raised a lot of money. I joined a venture capital firm later on to direct and lead the investment in the tech field, and also be successful in leading the investment in the several tech company back there. And I still working on the AI in the different aspects, on writing my experience in a book and building an open source project. So if you can see in different aspects, I'm all about AI.
That is fantastic. I think that it's a very trendy thing these days. So you said that you invest on technology before, right? And you are still doing
Yes.
it. Why investment? Why you want to invest in technology, especially in AR and technology?
Especially in AI is like, as I said, I was part of the venture capital firm that they were focused on a tech scene. In many levels, all of the services startups are saturated by the big companies, but there are a lot of opportunities for the tech startups, especially in the hot topics like AI, that the small teams can provide a lot of value. And one of the reasons that there is opportunity for the teams from the students like who wants to graduate soon to have focus in this field and work in this field is they can provide value, they can create value, and they can become big and have a successful future. So I've seen a lot of opportunity in this field because of all of these reasons.
So, Pedram, like the tech element is so huge. Like there seems to be so many different directions to this element. How do we know where to go and where to invest our time, our effort? Or, hey, maybe we want to invest in something down the way. How do we know where to actually position ourselves? Is there like you see the world out there around Silicon Valley, for an example, and, we see a big push with lots of financial investment there, but that doesn't seem like the right fit for people that are living in the local market here in BC and Vancouver. Yet, can you tell us a little bit more about that, how we might be able to find the right fit?
Sure. First of all, when you say invest, I hear that everyone who want to work on something is investment. As a person who want to spend money on the company to grow is investment. A person who want to work and dedicated his or her life on a specific mission is an investment. So I'm going to explain in that sort of definition. The reason that I feel there is a big opportunity here is creating value and not being very shoulder to shoulder in competition with the big giant is very important for everyone who wants to get into the startup field. If you live in any city or different ecosystems rather than Silicon Valley and California, there are many different aspects that you have to consider, and you should not compare yourself with all the stories, especially success stories in Silicon Valley, because many things are different from the investor, from the ecosystem, from the human culture existing in your tech scene. Everything are different. Some cities trying to duplicate or trying to mimic that what happened there, they don't become very successful. There are some successful story like Waterloo City because of the different way of doing that, but in many aspects they are not very successful. So what I want to insist here is every city has its own culture and dynamic, and people and students and tech entrepreneurs working in that city has to adopt those differences and appreciate those differences and work toward making some real value out of that.
So you talked about Waterloo there. So what's the difference maker with Waterloo, and how can we learn from what Waterloo has done and apply that to the Vancouver tech scene?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And when I was in Waterloo, even they were very insisting on that matter. Like what happens in Waterloo is there are, first of all, they build up things from the bottom to top, not top down. In many cities, the government and everything and all the people's working that they try to duplicate Silicon Valley by the top-down design approach. That may not work, and I think that does not work. But what I saw in Waterloo is they build that ecosystem from bottom to top, which means that they empower community. They let the community get together and have a very friendly and very deep connection with each other and make things happen. One of the things that is very famous in this field, that innovation or all of this connection cannot be created. They must be happened. So they created a very open and friendly community center back there, which let every member of the community and ecosystems come to that place and meet each other, work with each other. They were very open to everything, and they were a big promoter of have an open ecosystem that let everything help each other. Don't try to push and create something from outside.
Yeah, in ecosystems here about in BC, for example. So what is the role of the government here for especially tech startups? I'm not talking about all the startups. Is there anything that help means and attract more entrepreneur technology come here in BC? Because what I know most of the tech startups, they prefer to start here, but they move to United States. I mean, is it true or?
I mean, it can be true, but I can say one of the things which I found very probably not a big difference between here and back there in Ontario or Waterloo is there are a lot of bureaucratic process in British Columbia, especially when they want to fund projects. So they have to let that be more agile. Because if you always fund projects, all of your ecosystems become a member of a big pool of fund, and they expect you to pay them every year and every 2 years. So they don't become entrepreneur in the long term. So one of the things which I found in BC is not the best way of doing that is spending money and distributing money in a very bureaucratic and I would say traditional mindset.
So it means that you think that the entrepreneur in technology here, they are more depends on the government and they cannot be independent for a long time. Am I right? So
yeah.
Okay, what is it for investor to find opportunity here to invest on the technology?
From the investor side, I would say there are a lot of, again, governmental help. But one of the things which I found very different from the Waterloo and UBC, because I graduated from UBC, but I worked closely with Waterloo, was the program, the co-op program that exists in the Waterloo, and they're promoting that program very well, that forcing their students to take, I think, 5 or even 6 4-month long co-op program during their bachelor degree. So when students get graduated from a 4-year or like a bachelor program, they already had almost 2 years of work experience. So it was a very great experience for them. After the graduation, they have a very good vision of what they want to do in future. And that helps a lot of investors to, find a right team that young entrepreneurs know what they want to do because they already have a lot of experience.
So let's circle this back around these element around you say there's a lot of bureaucracy in investment from government. What about investment from outside of government? Do we see an opportunity there where more venture capitalists, more angel investors are coming and maybe can start to develop this ecosystem around technology to support that are coming out of UCW? They want to get into, they have an idea.
Every city and every probably ecosystems have some interest. Like probably British Columbia have a lot of interest from market side to government side, and for example, in green energy or on the sustainability. These are the things that are admired by every people in the market from this environment that we live in. That helps us any new startups to grow and grow, because at the end of the day, okay, government helps, but what makes a startup live and live long is a pool of market, a pool of customers that are interested to spend money and buy their services. And as I said, in every different city, cultures, industry, and many things are different. In BC, to my understanding, is sustainability and green energy is has a very well-rounded future.
You think that if it means that in technology, BC trends in the future is going to be more on sustainability and green energy, and the government and ecosystems and other players will more open to invest on these technology, right? And can you see, it's because your background is AI, how do you think that this AI is helping green technology and sustainability here, and what is the trend here in AI in BC in those fields?
Something which I probably forgot to mention was the software project and software company probably can be grow in a very different cities. The sustainability and green energy are more those that needs much more beyond the software. But I can explain AI. I can see AI as a horizontal technology that can apply to very different vertical. I mean, from the wearable tech, from the sustainability to the green energy, you just need to find a right way of applying that. One of the things which I found many companies are suffering, or basically they try to understand it, is how they want to use AI. They think that AI can solve everything. And that is the part which creates dangerous situation for them, because their expectation is high. They don't know how AI can disappoint them. They don't know the cost and the complexity behind everything. This is exactly one of the things which I'm right now working with several companies to help them figure out, because I feel that different companies, those that are focused on AI, those that AI is their sauce, everyone have a high expectation, and that sometimes is dangerous.
What? AI can't solve all my problems? What's going on in this world? Hold on a minute.
Not all your problems. All your problems. You have to.
I can remember this when MIS came in. Every company thought that MIS is going to solve their problem, but we had to tell them, no, first of all, you need to have a system, then have a MIS. MIS cannot solve all your problem, or computer cannot solve your problem. Right now, I think AI is that one, is it? So in your book, How to Start a Business from an Idea, it's a handbook built speed. So you mentioned about a lot of passion. I think that you're trying to emphasize that one. It's about the culture of BC. Do you think that it's related? So you can see that the passion, what I understand from you, it is the BC culture, and the passion here is in the ecosystem player is mostly about green energy and sustainable development. But AI cannot solve all the problems here.
Can. I mean, as I said, AI can apply for example, the green energy. Several days ago, I was talking with a potential entrepreneur, and exactly I had this conversation that how AI can help the solar energy. And we had a very, probably solar energy is not something that very fit to our province, but you can look at that as an example of this, the green energy and sustainability. AI can be used for optimizing the planning or the production planning. For example, we wanted to find out the lifetime. I mean, that's the exact conversation that we had. The lifetime of the solar panels and how the owner of that, power plant must handle the insurance, the market, because, for example, as a they don't want to underperform. They want to outperform what they have and sell the energy to the market in their best way possible. So AI as a tool can help them to maximize this production. How? Maybe by estimating the life cycle of each solar panel. Maybe by these are the things that an AI expert and the field expert must sit together and find out what is the right way of the entering. But I just want to provide you an example that in one field of the sustainability, how AI can help. For example, by estimating the life cycle and help managing the production plan.
So, Pedram, you talk about the software piece, and I think we see the software piece, software as a service, that element, and what I understand from you is doesn't matter where that technology is because it can be developed in any market. But then you're saying that's when it comes to a little bit more complex elements where we're starting to think about global warmings and environmental and those impact things that now we need to start to defining certain cities that are best suited for this type of technology.
That's very correct. I mean, in the book that Gelareh mentioned, I try to explain a framework that helped an entrepreneur or a potential entrepreneur choose a right project or a right startup for them. There's a framework explained. There is a 3 or 4, basically is a 3-step framework. But the prerequisite of that framework is as Dave mentioned, is how well the local market can adopt the new technology. And when it comes to a high-tech product, things are different. I mean, the way that you have to evaluate a high-tech startup, the things that you have to evaluate or like pursue a high-tech startup is different than the other ones. For example, when you want to have, this is one example. I can explain more if you want, but like in a high-tech product, this is my suggestion. If you want to increase the chance of success on your tech product, you must ensure that your technology has a higher TRL already in the academia, in the science world. If you want to build up something from very scratch, like if you're from TRL 1 or 2, you have a very long path to become successful. So before starting a high-tech startup, you have to ensure about what is its TRL already in the, academia. I remember the time that we were working on the hand gesture recognition back in 2013. There was some project in the universities that targeting that problem. They did not have any product or they did not have any solution, like a very well-rounded solution for that problem, but they already targeted. So they already have some research on it. So we could easily go there and research and find some ideas from them. So that is an example. For a tech startup, a TRL of that technology must be high enough, maybe 5 or 6, for a smaller startup to work on. I heard a lot of this from different teams that they want to target a very difficult problems, but my suggestion is if you leave that gap open, you will lose in the long run.
Because when I hear you're talking about this, and I think that now it relates back to, and I know you talked about it at this very beginning, that you started your journey at UBC with a technology that, and you move that technology to Waterloo because of that support system. And so that the knowledge base, I assume, is where we're going here, is that the knowledge base has to support the higher tech element. The knowledge needs to be supportive of it and have that collaboration piece. And so
Exactly.
then leads me down the path of, and I'm steering a little bit in a different direction, is that, Vancouver is definitely becoming a drawing power for a lot of large organizations such as Amazon, Apple, Sony. These things are coming, but they're coming for the reason they want to access the tech knowledge, or the knowledge, the individuals, like computer science programmers, I assume, from other countries. Is much easier for them to come here to Vancouver than it is to get to the. So is that all software based then versus the high tech?
You mean the big giants?
Yeah, like, is it more, are they looking for software implementation versus high tech implementation?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't think coming all of the big giants to our city are in favor of the building a very powerful, startup ecosystem. It's a good for city for sure, but maybe not for the startup ecosystem. But the offices that they open here, they mostly be on the very pure software and not in a very high tech field, for sure.
But so what's the future going to be like for Vancouver? How do we, you said sustainability. How do we grasp onto something and create that ecosystem for us? And how do we make sure that we don't lose these companies south of the border down to the Silicon Valley, because there's lots of money there? How do we change that story, my friend?
It's a very interesting question, and the answer is very hard, and the reality is very hard, because at the end of the day, the big capital is sometimes very appealing. But I would say the engagement with the local market probably is one of the winning card for a company to stay and not relocate and not going to down in the border, south in the border. Because if you tie to your local customers, to your local market, and when I say local market, I don't just talk about probably several customers that will purchase a product or not. I'm talking about all the stakeholders, from the university, from the real market, from the supplier, from the government. Like, your tie must get strong very well, that stop you and prevent you to change your scene and change your location to the south in the border. It is hard, but I think it's possible.
So, Pedram, we always like to give our guests a little bit of the last word on our show. And coming back, and if we were, as we're talking out to this audience, maybe they want to make a tech investment, maybe they're starting their own technology startup. Do you have any words of advice or any pieces beyond, of course, and we do want to plug your book, get your book out there. Do you have any words of advice that you can leave us with today that helps them start their journey?
Maybe, yeah. I think I went through these paths several times, and I saw a lot of teams going through that path. So I would like to share some thoughts with you here today as well. One of the things which most of the tech entrepreneurs miss is the significance of the need that product would resolve. And when I'm talking about the significant, means the number of users that may need that product, or the frequency of usage for that product. So the depth of the need, the significance of the need is a very important concept to take care of, because I saw a lot of tech entrepreneurs to get very excited about building it very high tech or building a technology, but they don't look about, okay, what need this technology would resolve, and what is the significance of the need. For example, one of the examples that I always provide is Uber. When Uber wants to promote its services, they are not talking about providing lower cost services for their customers. What they do is they build a vision that very various need can relate to. For example, some people use Uber for sake of the cost. Some people use it for the comfort. Some people use it for the many other reasons. So
shared car.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone relate to their vision from different angles, and that makes the need that they push very wide, and that creates a lot of hype behind it. The other thing these are the kind of the lessons that I saw failed startups based on, like the market adoption. Like, is market ready to buy and have that product? Maybe if product is futuristic, maybe it's very amazing, but market is not ready. And one of the things which I want to insist on, the difference between Silicon Valley and the other fields, is for making the market ready for something, there's a need for a big capital. And when that big and risk-taking capital does not exist, you cannot push your customers to buy that product. So don't go toward that path. Make sure that market is ready, and then reach that, go to that path. I can talk about that maybe more, but I think we don't have much.
So you want to see that it is the product market fit first, then it's a need for the market, and is then because your idea is great, so it doesn't mean that you will be successful. You need to find.
You bet it. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, the great idea is not the way to go.
So exactly that. I always tell my students, your idea is just worth 1%. The rest it's more important. The idea by itself, no, I'm sorry. And it's how much you are very expert in your field. It still is really good, but it's not enough. It's not enough. You don't understand the market.
That's exactly the framework that I developed, and in the title that you mentioned is another reason that people think that I can do this, so I will go work toward that path. That is an important factor. If you are not expert in the field, you cannot probably easily go and build a startup out of it. But that must not be your primary reason. The primary reason is something else. That's your supporting reason. That's something that you have to think of it as a later stage, not at an earlier stage.
So you're saying that your expertise is not your strong suit.
Exactly. Your expertise is not your strong suit. You have to think about the need and all the other, yeah.
So because it's really important for me to understand here, it's your point, because you are expert. You're expert in AI. And you think that business-minded is more important to start a business rather than to be expert in this field.
Sure, for sure. Yeah. I mean, for sure. Like being expert in the field is a supporting argument. It's not something that, make you successful or, fail.
It's not a success factor. So one more thing is about this one is, do you think that how much, for example, you are an expert in AI, do you suggest to these people, expert people, to take some business courses to understand the business? And do you think that it's by training they can earn these skills and be more successful?
I tried many paths, but I think at the end of the day, what I can recommend is being part of a startup team as a first step. I think is good. Try something by your own, like to see, like to feel it by yourself and to completely experiencing, understand it. You cannot learn this stuff easily. You have to make your hand dirty. So you have to first be part of a journey, and then build your journey, which may fail, and then build your journey that will succeed. So it's a path,
Yeah. So you think that you should skin on the game and be part of the team as an expert?
Yeah.
Gain the knowledge there. Then if you can see yourself, you can be entrepreneurs, start your entrepreneurs. Okay.
That's my suggestion.
I know.
Philosophy. Yeah.
I know that is the whole podcast, means that everyone come with their own idea and talk about with your own. This is your story. It's great. And that's why we want to hear from you. Thank you very much.
One more thing, Gelareh, because many students hear the success story in Silicon Valley and they want to replicating it. And replication is not the key to success. They have to find what is well suited for them, for their life, for their risk-taking personality, for the resources that they have access to. A person may have a huge resources, but another one may not. So everyone must find their own way to resolving all these unknowns. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Sorry to interrupt, and yeah.
Thank you, Pedram Ataee, for joining us today.
To all entrepreneurs and managers out there, we have ambitious students here at UCW who would love to hear from you and help you with your business through our internship, our capstone program. If you think you have a wonderful story or a challenge that you want to share with our students and our audience that you think they can benefit from, we want to hear from you. We want that information. We want you to be a part of this show. We also want you to join our mentorship program. We've got a great mentorship program to help students as they move on their educational journey towards getting into a career or launching a new opportunity. So reach out to us, connect with us at www.ucanwest.ca/Innovation Fuel.
You have just listened to the Innovation Fuel podcast with your hosts, Dave and Gelareh. Subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Google, or Spotify. Join us next week for another innovative story. Thank you for listening and have a great week.